Deep within an enchanted forest where the leaves of the trees could shimmer from emerald green to fiery orange in the space of just a few minutes, there lived a large, lumbering bear named Bramble. Now, Bramble was a gentle soul, though not the brightest when it came to thinking ahead. And he was always getting into scrapes because of it, like the time he tripped over a root while running away from a bee and landed headfirst into a patch of stinging nettles, or the time he tried to fish for salmon without knowing how to swim. But Bramble was a kind-hearted bear, and he always meant well. So even if his schemes failed, he would always learn from his mistakes, and try his best to do better next time. It was during one of Bramble's fishing mishaps that he first heard about the legendary hive hidden somewhere deep within the Whisperwood. It was said to be guarded by a council of the most intelligent bees in the forest, and they produced the most exquisite honey that tasted like liquid sunshine and starlight. What's more, it was said that this honey held the wisdom of the forest itself, and those who ate it were gifted with the power to understand the language of the birds, the gossip of the flowers, and the secrets of the ancient trees. Of course, Bramble had no idea any of this at the time. He was too busy wondering why fish were such slippery little devils. But soon, spring turned to summer, and Bramble found himself yearning for something sweet to eat. That's when he remembered what his friend, Finley, the fisher cat, had told him about the Whisperwood and its magical honey. With a rumble in his tummy and a song in his heart, Bramble set off into the woods to find it. After walking for a while, he came across a clearing bathed in golden sunlight, and in the middle of it stood the largest tree he had ever seen before. Its branches reached up to the sky like welcoming arms, and its leaves shone with an otherworldly glow. As Bramble approached the tree, he could hear the soft humming of bees, and he knew he was close to the hive. But as he moved closer still, the humming grew louder, and suddenly the bees were everywhere, forming a shimmering wall across his path. One of the bees flew forward, its body the size and shape of a dinner plate. Its wings glittered like rainbows, and its eyes shone like golden coins. "Who dares disturb the slumber of the Whisperwood?" it boomed in a voice like rolling thunder. "I am Bramble," he replied politely, "and I only wanted to ask if I could have some of your delicious honey." The giant bee shook its fuzzy body in disgust. "You stink of fish and foolishness. Do you think the bees work so hard all year just to give their honey to any passing beast? No, we make our honey for ourselves, and if you want some, you will have to earn it." Bramble frowned. "What do you mean?" The giant bee gestured to the other bees. "Each one of my sisters here has a different task to test your worth. If you wish to have our honey, you must pass each of their trials, and then, perhaps, just perhaps, you will be deemed worthy." Now, Bramble was a patient bear, but he was also very hungry, and the thought of all that delicious honey made him feel like his tummy was filled with bumblebees. So, without another word, he turned and faced the first bee. Now, her task was to test his knowledge of the forest. She asked him all sorts of questions, like what kind of flower can only open when the moon is full, or which trees bear fruit in the wintertime, and what sound does a wood sprite make when it's playing a tune. At first, Bramble didn't know the answers to any of these questions, and he feared he would fail the test. But he had spent a lot of time in the woods, and he had listened to the birds, and watched the animals, and smelled the flowers as they bloomed. So slowly but surely, he began to remember all the things he had heard, and he answered each of the bees' questions correctly. The second bee tested his strength by asking him to mend a broken bird's nest high up in the branches of a tree. Then the third bee tested his speed by challenging him to catch butterflies that kept fluttering just out of his paw's reach. But Bramble had learned from his mistakes. He took his time, planning ahead and moving with care and patience, and he managed to pass every test. And finally, he stood before the last bee, whose task was to test his kindness. She led him to a small stream, where the water had become stagnant and foul, and all the fish had died because of it. "Can you fix this?" she asked. And as Bramble looked at the polluted stream, he knew exactly what to do. Using stones and sticks, he built a dam to divert the flow of the water, and then he used a fallen log to form a new channel for the water to flow through. When he was done, the water was clean and clear once more, and the fish returned, darting and flashing in the shallows. The final bee buzzed around him in delight. "Well done, Bramble. You have passed our tests with honor. You may take as much honey as you wish." And so Bramble dipped his paw into the hive and pulled out the fattest comb he could find. As he licked the honey off his paw, the taste filled him with a warm, tingling sensation, and he felt wiser and stronger and braver than he had ever felt before. and as he rumbled with happiness, he noticed something strange. All around him, the flowers were glowing with an otherworldly light, and when he looked up, he could see that the trees, too, were glowing, and even the rocks and the streams. And then Bramble understood. This was the magic of the Whisperwood, the ability to see the wonder and beauty that lay hidden beneath the surface of everyday things. Suddenly, a voice rang out in his mind, clear and sweet as a songbird's. "Thank you, Bramble, for cleaning the river." It was the stream. "You have given us back our life." Then another voice rang out, this one deep and resonant, like the sound of a cello. "Thank you for mending our nest, Bramble. We can raise our young in peace now." It was the birds, and as Bramble looked around him, he heard the voices of every creature in the forest, whispering their thanks and telling him of the troubles they had been facing. And Bramble, with his big, gentle heart, couldn't help but want to help. So from that day on, Bramble became the protector of the Whisperwood, and because he had learned to listen to the wishes of the forest and its creatures, his wisdom grew, and he became known throughout the land as the wisest bear of them all. And though he never forgot the taste of that sweet, golden honey, he never went back to steal it, for he knew that the true magic of the Whisperwood lay not in its honey, but in its beauty, its peace, and the kindness of its people.